for a few minutes, but we're going to add a little bit of brandy to this, which is very traditional. Put a couple of ounces of brandy in there, and I'm going to put about an ounce of sherry in there. And we're going to mix that up and give it a taste. And of course, we're going to let this simmer for about 15 minutes or so. We're going to time-elapse that 15 minutes, so you don't have to sit here and watch the onion soup simmer. Let's just give it a little quick taste now and see how our preliminary taste is prior to the cooking process of simmering the onions in the stock. This soup is good already. Now, I'm going to put the lid back on, and we've got it turned up a little bit. We'll let it cook for about 15, 20 minutes, then we're going to come back. When we come back, we are going to put our onion soup into traditional French onion soup crocks, and we're going to toast a little bit of bread. As a matter of fact, give me the bread, Louis. Let's get the bread cut and toasted before we begin the time-elapse process. It's right here on the table. And that way, when we come back after having it simmered, there's a loaf right there. And there you have it, a baguette. Now that size baguette, which is the definition of a baguette, is what you're looking for when you want to make these croutons. Because you want to be able to lay them into the top, on top of the soup prior to putting the cheese on top. But keep in mind that these are not fried in clarified butter like regular croutons. These are just toasted. So we're going to take some of these, cut them like this, and we're probably going to end up with 3 croutons on the top of each bowl. And I have 1, 2, 3 bowls here. So let's do 9 of them. And we'll toast these on a cookie sheet in the oven while this is cooking. We'll be back, time-elapse, in about 20 minutes with some toasted crouton and some simmered onion soup. And we're going to finish it off, and you're going to see why this soup is so famous, just based on the way it looks. But when you see how much cheese goes on top of the soup, you're not going to believe it. It's a lot, proportionately, for the amount of soup that's in that bowl. But we'll be right back in about 20 minutes. Okay, the French onion soup has been simmering for about 15 or 20 minutes, like I recommended. And here it is. And this is that combination of the glazed onions with the beef stock, a little bit of flour, a little bit of garlic, and some sherry and brandy. Now, what you want to make sure you have is the right amount of onions for the amount of broth that you have. So that looked like a lot of onions, but considering that we've only got about 1.5 quarts of soup here, this is the perfect amount of onions. Now, I will show you in a different bowl so you can get a good idea of the amount of onions that are in that soup, see? You don't want this to be onion stew with a little bit of broth in it, okay? First, we're going to taste this before we adjust the seasoning, and then we're going to assemble them in the crocks for baking in the oven, okay? This soup needs a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar I need. Salt, a little bit of pepper. This soup needs a pinch more sherry and a pinch more brandy also. Thank you, sir. And let's get a little pinch of sugar in here. Let's give that a whirl. Give that another taste. Obviously, all soups have to be finished and adjusted like this for final seasonings and flavors. This is substantially better. Let me have another taste. This soup needs a little bit more sugar and a little bit more salt. And just a pinch more sherry. A little bit more sugar. Okay, I'm not going to taste it now. I think it's right where it needs to be. But I'll taste it anyway, just because I do. Tastes good. It's nice. A little bit of sugar helped it. Now, we're going to ladle this into the crocks. I have the crocks on a sheet pan. Put a little bit of space in between each one of the crocks so that the air can circulate in the oven around the crocks and bake them all three evenly. Now, it doesn't matter if you kind of slop the soup up on the sides, because the sides of this crock are going to be all covered with cheese and juices and stuff when you're done here anyway. But you want to fill it up with soup. Then I would say we got room for 3 croutons in each one of these, like that. These are just toasted pieces of French baguette bread. Now what I have here is I have a combination of Swiss grated cheese. Gruyere is what this is, from Gruyere, Switzerland, which is the traditional Swiss cheese that's used in the French onion soup. Now, in France, they don't use low moisture mozzarella as part of their cheese. It's usually strictly straight up Gruyere cheese with a little Parmesan maybe mixed into it. One of the things we like to do in this country, which is an acceptable adulteration, as I would describe it, to the use of the cheese mozzarella mixed with the Gruyere, is that in this country, we like our cheese gooey, and mozzarella does that for us, the kind of cheese that's on your pizza, you know? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take equal parts of Gruyere cheese and mozzarella, and I'm going to mix them together. So we have that Gruyere flavor, and we're going to mix a little bit of chopped parsley right into the cheese. Then we're going to take the cheese and put it on top of the soup. Look at all that cheese. I told you there's a lot of cheese that goes on the top of that soup. Now you can put even more on there if you want. I think we can go with that. Let me throw a pinch on there, okay? Now, put parsley on top of the crocks. And now we're going to pop this in the oven for whatever length of time it takes for the cheese to be melted and the top to be nice and bubbly brown. That should be about 6 to 9 minutes right in there, okay? So let's get this in the oven now. Now I'm putting this at a 450, 400 degree oven. You want it hot so it can be fast. We'll be right back with these browned, and I'll pull them out of the oven, and you'll see for yourself. This is real baked French onion soup. Okay, zoom down here, Richard, because make sure our people can see what baked French onion soup looks like. Look at those crocks, will you? This is about 7 to 9 minutes in the oven at about 350. And we put these in a wind oven, as they call them, some people, also known as a convection oven, okay? So there you have it, and all I would do to this, besides let it cool off a little bit before I put any of it in my mouth, put a little bit more parsley on top, and set that baby. You see how it bubbles all over the side of the crock? That's all part of the French onion soup experience, believe it or not. And let that cool off a little bit, and you're good to go right there. If you want to put it on a little doily, that's fine, but this is a really nice version of the French onion soup as the French make it. And I would certainly pay tribute to the French by making their French onion soup in their own tradition. And I hope you get a chance to do so also.